Hey there, Susie here. Before we get into today's episode, I want to share this special message with you. Now, my co-host Michelle and I love masterminds. Not only do we belong to masterminds, but we also host a mastermind. We started it almost 8 years ago, and it is the premier mastermind for women business owners who want to grow their business with a specific focus on marketing. Now, this group is usually completely booked out, and very occasionally we open the doors and invite a handful of women in. So if you're growing your business, but you're struggling with feeling overwhelmed, or like you constantly have a split focus when it comes to your marketing, this could be exactly what you're looking for. We have an amazing time together, and the women in the group are extraordinary. They're great cheerleaders, supporters, advisors, and colleagues for you. And they're also seeing extraordinary results. We see people cracking the $1 million, $2 million, $3 million mark, launching new e-commerce sites that go from $0 to $10,000 a month in sales. They're doubling their conversion rates, they're growing memberships, they're selling courses, they're growing their personal brands, and they're getting all kinds of media exposure and speaking opportunities and so much more. You can learn more about the mastermind and join the wait list over at herbusinessmastermind.com. We're going to open the doors soon, so you definitely want to be on the list to get an invitation. So head on over to herbusinessmastermind.com. You're listening to the Content Sells Podcast, the show all about how to create content to attract, convert, and keep your ideal clients. Welcome to episode 182. I'm Susie Daphnis, and here with me is my fabulous co-host, Michelle Falson. Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Hi, Susie. I am great. The sun is shining, which always makes me happy. How are you?
I'm really, really well. Yes, the sun is shining where I am as well. And I'm actually a couple of hours south of Sydney at a beachside town that has been our little escape place since the beginning of the pandemic. And the sun is shining. But it's wonderful to be here with you. I'm very excited about today's episode.
Same. Feels like it's been too long.
It does feel like that. Now, today's episode is one we haven't really touched on before. It is all about how you can shift from working with individuals to working with groups. That is how you can go from providing one-to-one offers like services. So let's say you're a naturopath and you work with clients one-on-one, or you're a lawyer or a counselor or a consultant where you work with one client at a time. And in those cases, you're essentially trading your time for money. And when you stop seeing clients, your income stops. So how do you shift from that to working with groups where you're providing one-to-many offers, which, as the name suggests, means that you make something or you deliver something once, but to many people. So this can include a live or a virtual event where you present and you have tens, hundreds, or even thousands of people tuning in. It can be an online course that you deliver to multiple people. It can be any sort of product where you can leverage what you're doing to serve more than one person at a time. And that can be things like I just mentioned, like an online course or a mastermind or a group coaching program or a membership or a certification. And there's so many other opportunities where you're going from one-to-one to one-to-many. And what I'm finding inside the Her Business community is that this idea of transitioning from one-to-one, or at least supporting a one-to-one business model with a one-to-many product or service, is becoming more and more a focus of our members. And this came up as a goal for a number of our members during a recent program we ran called the Find Your Focus Coaching Program. And we had hundreds of women come together for this online event, which promised to help them get more clarity and focus on their vision, on their plans, on their marketing, on their messaging. And it did exactly that. But the way we started the week was to have them envision the type of business they wanted to have 1 year from now. And so many were ready to go from working one-to-one with clients and being a bottleneck in their business or exchanging their time for money to actually having more leveraged income and being able to also help more people. Once it was clear that this was their goal, then it became about helping them take the steps and get the resources and the support to start to see that was possible for them.
Yeah, it's such a great thing to do, or at least an idea to entertain in terms of that leveraged next step when you want to scale your business and perhaps you're already at capacity for those one-to-one clients. And Susie, you mentioned that fantastic word, bottleneck. Not that it's fantastic if we're the bottleneck in our business, but it really, I think, pinpoints what can happen. You start a business, you've got this expertise, you're working one-to-one with people, and suddenly, zoop, your calendar is completely filled up. And now you're at capacity. You are the bottleneck. You can't earn any more. You don't have any more hours. And so either adding in some one-to-many or shifting to a one-to-many model is a really great way to scale your business, to get some of your own time back and to get more income and impact in the business. So you mentioned the Her Business Network. We're also seeing this as well in the Marketing Success Mastermind, with many people joining that group to do this very thing, to shift from a one-to-one focus where they've got all this great expertise and they're exchanging their time for money, to a one-to-many, more leveraged, scalable model or an aspect of their model. So whether it's a lawyer who wanted to free herself from the hamster wheel of always having to be doing billable hours, who went ahead and created a super successful membership. So one-to-one billable hours versus one-to-many membership, where she creates resources and trainings once for the membership, but she gets paid over and over again for them by her members, by having multiple members in that group. Or whether it's another member of our mastermind, Susie, a naturopath fertility specialist, whose calendar was so slammed with those one-to-one appointments that she was not only overwhelmed, and, when we get overwhelmed like that and it's just appointment after appointment and we can't stop because the money stops, it can lead to burnout. It can lead to a whole lot of us, not loving our businesses, which, maybe our listeners have felt from time to time. So she was not only feeling a bit overwhelmed, but she'd also capped her impact, the ability to actually help people. And she's an absolute genius at what she does. There were so many people she wanted to be able to help with this life-changing process that she has. She helps people conceive naturally, even if they've tried IVF and failed before in many cases. So she knew she had something she needed more people to be able to learn about and to experience. And there were only so many spots in her calendar each week to work with her one-to-one. So she went ahead and created an online course. Again, this shift from one-to-one to one-to-many, where she could help literally dozens of students in that same hour where she might have previously only helped one person. And I'm just thinking, Susie, of so many people that have really come to the mastermind to do that.
Well, it is such a shift for the reasons you're saying, because you stop being the bottleneck, you can make more money, you can help more people. And that's one of the things we see a lot in the mastermind is women are wanting to make that sort of change to the viability of their business.
Yeah, and it really does, as you say, change the viability. It's one of those things that absolutely is one of those big levers that you can pull in your business. And there's there's somebody in the group who's a grant specialist. Again, that has been traditionally a one-to-one consulting kind of income generator for her. And she's found a way to turn that into a thriving membership and a high ticket small group. So she's kind of got the bigger one-to-many where she's hoping to have lots of people in the membership. And then she's got a small group where it's still high touch, but she can charge more for it, but she's still not working one-to-one. There's a composer in the group who's up-leveling her income and her impact, offering a high dollar 6-month group mentoring program that's helping to replace this one-to-one consulting income. And we're helping people navigate and succeed with this every day. So whether you're wanting to move away from one-to-one or you're looking to have that portfolio of products where you have some high dollar one-to-one offerings and then some other one-to-many offers so you can reach more people and increase your income, that's what we can help you with today. Begin to think about in this episode. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to hearing what we inspire people to do as a result of today's show, to step out and maybe try some of these one-to-many offers.
Yeah, because we're not saying don't do one-to-one. We're just saying really consider this other model that we're going to show you, because it'll allow you to reach more people, make more money, leverage your time and energy, and move away from the desk. Move away from having to work one-on-one to really being able to help more people. So it depends on what your strategy is and what work you love to do and what your financial goals are. And for me, my time is best spent in leverage activities, getting thousands of people to an online summit, or attracting hundreds of people to our small group coaching programs, or opening up our Her Business Network membership just a few times a year to get new members, and then taking the rest of the time to support and take amazing care of our members all year round so that they want to stay. And of course, there are tiers of access to me. So with the Marketing Success Mastermind that Michelle and I run, and our Reach Retreat that's coming up in Hawaii in October, which you can learn more about at thereachretreat.com. You get a whole lot more access to me. You get the most access to me at the Reach Retreat because we're there together on a Hawaiian island for a whole week. We keep those groups smaller because there's a lot of access to me. Inside the mastermind, there's a lot of access to Michelle and to me. And so it's a different sort of experience. We share a lot of time and a range of experiences, from direct feedback opportunities and mentoring and teaching and fun social things we do together. And we do also at Her Business, we offer a one-on-one product. It's called mentoring, where you can get one-on-one attention. Now, this isn't our highest leverage activity, and we seldom make mentoring opportunities available because it is harder to leverage. Now, we can bring in more mentors to fit demand, but it's not the highest and best use of our time. And so we've got an element of scalability and leverage, which is important to us. But we always look at, well, how can we help more people? You know, one of our goals as a company is to help as many women as possible. Now, you might be like Christy Lee Billett of the Footprint Group, who has a thriving one-on-one practice. She helps small businesses from 0 to 100 people with their human resources challenges, whether that is hiring new people or letting go of people who aren't working out, or writing the best ads, or motivating people, or writing KPIs. And because of her amazing HR advisory skills, she's been really full working one-on-one. But she has now added a one-to-many offer, which has been a really great way to increase her income and reach more people without increasing the amount of time she spends working. And so right now, she is continuing to serve people one-on-one for a higher dollar. For higher dollar consulting work. Oh, that would be the wonderful Kona. I think my partner PJ's. Hi, Kona. PJ's just going to come and take her outside. And so Christy Lee's still doing the high dollar one-on-one consulting work, but less of that, and offering a lower priced one-to-many option through her people-powered HR membership.
Yeah, and there are so many ways you can approach this. And I think firstly, one of the things we really wanted to help you with on today's show was to give you some strategies to firstly think about whether one-to-many might be a good thing to add to your one-to-one business right now, and where it might fit. So that's the first kind of thing. And then secondly, if you think, yeah, actually, this sounds like a great move for me, how you might go about making that transition. Because here's the other side of this coin. I mean, we've painted a pretty great picture of what can happen when you know, beautiful people like Christy and the fertility specialists and those other people that we've mentioned. But what most people find is, because they're so busy doing the one-to-one work, which is important work, it keeps the doors open, it pays the bills. Oftentimes you love it, and it's where you can have a lot of, you know, really big impact with individuals. It can be hard to create the time and the space and the headspace, really, to straddle that period of time where you haven't yet launched or sold your one-to-many product. And so you're still fully reliant on that one-to-one income. And yet you've got to also carve out time to create that new one-to-many offer and to market it and to get it up and running and to learn some things about, you know, how to do it and how not to do it. And because of that straddle, what can tend to happen is that you go, I love this idea, but I'm stuck on that one-to-one treadmill. And Susie, one of the things that I think could be a great place to start is looking at whether one-to-many is even something our listeners should be considering starting, and where and how it might fit into their business.
Yeah, absolutely. Because one-to-one is often the place we start. We start a business, we're a solopreneur, it's just us. And the easiest thing to do is find another person to do business with. So we might get a referral, we might meet someone at a networking event, and it's easy. And we do recommend it. And we've made that recommendation many a time to women who are just starting out. It's like, just find someone to work with. You're going to spend more of your time, but it's a place to start, and you start bringing in that cash flow. However, if you think, yes, I want to go one-to-many, then you definitely want to listen up. So if, for example, you're not yet at capacity, so you still have some appointment times available, you still have some time in your schedule, you can look at a variety of marketing strategies that are ideal for one-to-one services to get more clients. So let me give you an example. So Ange Sinclair is a naturopath who specializes in helping people overcome a myriad of digestive issues. She goes under the name of the Digestive Detective. Now, she can best help people working with them one-on-one. But what she was doing was she was selling individual sessions with her, appointments with her at her clinic or virtually. And so ultimately, there were two things happening. One, her appointment book was filling, but single sessions were not going to give people the solution that they needed in order to solve their sometimes really deep, long-standing digestive issues. She really needed multiple sessions with those clients to do her best work. So we worked with her to craft an offer that includes multiple sessions delivered over a period of time, plus other elements to diagnose their particular situation and offer them advice and support. And this is allowing her to better serve the clients she does get. And she's reporting earning more money each month, but actually doing less work because she has bundled her offer in a way that is one-on-one, but it's far more profitable. The other option, if you're going to work one-on-one, is to increase your prices. And this is something Michelle and I love encouraging people to do. And this is especially important if you are already in demand or booked out. This is something I really recommend you take a look at because generally speaking, we find that most people are undercharging for their brilliance. And if we look at the example of Ange, who I just mentioned, she not only crafted a more profitable offer, but because she's followed the offer process that we teach inside the mastermind, she could also charge more for this package. She was also recently, in a different incident, able to charge 10 times what she normally would for a presentation by getting support to present this one-to-many opportunity in a proposal that had an offer that was so compelling that the client was very happy to pay her because she was working one-to-many with their team members, and it still represented extraordinary value for the outcome that they wanted to get as an organization. And anytime we increase our prices, all that extra dough, it goes straight to the bottom line. It is a great way. It's probably the best way to get leverage is to increase your prices.
Yeah, I love what you're saying there because if you're a one-to-one business right now and you're not at capacity, then you may just want to, get that low-hanging fruit of getting more one-to-one clients, which is a completely valid strategy. Or if you're at capacity or you're nearing capacity or you're just looking for a way to ramp up that income, you can look at charging those higher prices. And so just starting where you are and looking at how you can leverage even what you're doing as a one-to-one is so important before you make that leap even to one-to-many. And I completely agree with you about the pricing thing, Susie. I mean, I feel like we need to get T-shirts made or something that say, increase your prices. Most of the business owners that we talk to or when we're reviewing their offer, and we do that a lot inside the mastermind, and Susie, I know you work with a lot of people inside Her Business Network, but when I find out what they're charging, and I know how fabulous they are, you were speaking before about their brilliance, I think, oh, wow, you could totally charge a lot with capital L-O-T, a lot more. And here's the interesting thing. While you might be freaking out about the price increase, and we see this when we kind of gently urge people to put their prices up, they have a freak out and they kind of say the price out loud with their eyes closed, waiting to flinch. Chances are your clients won't bat an eyelid. And we see this time and time and time and time again. So Ange Sinclair, who, you just mentioned, Susie, 500% increase on this particular project she was doing over what she'd ever charged for that particular type of thing before. And thankfully, she had everybody in the mastermind kind of had her back and encouraged her to do it. And she kind of did it with almost like pained expression. And of course, the client just went, yeah, sure. Where do we sign off on that? And the beautiful Tasha O'Donnell, who looks after women with fertility issues, she doubled and then tripled her prices because she started low, too low, and she's in demand and she's doing things that are saving people tens of thousands of dollars and heartache and all sorts of other things. It's so worth the service that she is offering. And here is the good news. Once you've gone through that discomfort and you've expanded to that new price, you can't go back. And that's a good thing.
It's a very good thing. And it starts with our mindset, so often. That's why we see that look like, you want me to do what? But once you start to own that new level of pricing, which is probably more in line with what you should be charging, it just changes your whole business. So how do you know if you might be ready to add one-to-many or to transition to a one-to-many model from your current one-to-one business model? We want to give you a few things that might be good indicators. One is you want more impact. So you actually want to reach more people and empower more people and enable more people than you possibly ever could working one-on-one. So impact. The second one is you want more money, and many of us do. And one-on-one might be putting a lid very tightly on your income because you're exchanging time for money and you only have so much time. With the example that we gave you with Tasha, she's got 2 young children. Her appointment book was full. It was only when she changed her model that she could free up her time to spend more time with the family because she wasn't working just one-on-one. So more impact, more money, more fulfillment is the third one. And by that, I mean, you see others are moving away from one-to-one and one-to-many, maybe even people who are your competition or in similar industries, and you feel frustrated because you haven't been able to crack the code and do the same thing. So you're left working really long hours for not enough money. And that's frustrating.
Yeah, it really can be. And it can be frustrating and unfulfilling, just feeling like you're on that hamster wheel and, you can't stop. And that's another sort of indicator that you might be ready for one-to-many, that idea that you want to take all the pressure off you. We see that all the time. I've had people say to me, look, Michelle, if I'm not sitting at my desk across from a client, then I'm not making any money. So being able to serve people in a one-to-many way where you create something once and then people buy it over and over, or you make one day available but you're helping lots of people on that day, really does take the pressure off you having to be always on, always filling every hour with billable hours. Another indicator that you might be ready for one-to-many is that you're craving a bit more flexibility. The challenge, and it's like what you were saying, Susie, about Tasha or anybody that's got a full calendar. You can't just take off for the afternoon. Many times people have booked in weeks in advance to work with you. And so when look, I'm going to do 3 or 4 things this month that are leveraged in terms of one-to-many offers, and then I'm just going to be selective about who I work with. So, I have one-to-many offers, and then I do one-to-one work, but the one-to-many lets me be very selective about A, when I take on the one-to-one work, and B, who I work with. So I get a lot more flexibility if I want to, like this weekend, we're taking a long weekend to do something with our kids. And so I had the flexibility because my calendar wasn't filled with back-to-back one-on-one appointments. The other thing that might be an indicator that you're ready for expanding into one-to-many is this idea of risk management. Because when you're the primary breadwinner and you have to be there live working one-to-one with an individual from 9 a.m. till 10 a.m. or on Tuesday at this time, if for any reason you couldn't make it, you aren't getting paid. Whereas if you're creating a product like a course that people can buy over and over, or you've got a group coaching program or any kind of one-to-many, you are in many ways helping to de-risk that. Because if you're sick on Tuesday, let's say you've got a weekly Q&A, then you can do that on the Thursday and you haven't had to do anything on the Tuesday because you've got that flexibility. The other thing that happens with many is that you can start to bring other people in to de-risk it all being on your shoulders, especially as that starts to create more income for you.
One of the things that is, I think, really great to think about is when we say many, what do we mean? Because it's really, more than one is many. There's you double your leverage. But what I mean by that is typically, but not always, you can tend to charge more for the one-to-many programs that are smaller. These are sometimes called one-to-few. So a small group coaching program or a mastermind like the one we run or the Reach Retreat that we run, they're not huge, hundreds and thousands of people. Because those experiences are more bespoke. They are, as I said earlier, they give people the opportunity to have more access to you than, say, a scalable membership or a pre-recorded course that thousands of people might go through. So you want to think about your overall business strategy. It can take more time and more personal contact to get someone to commit to a $10,000 group coaching program than to, say, a $100 a month membership. So those high dollar programs are often placed in your business as upsells from the lower dollar programs, which means they are not the first thing that people are buying from you. There's something people level up to once they know, like, and trust you. So where in your product suite, where in your range of offers would a one-to-many offer work? For example, in Her Business, we have people who've joined our email list at no cost because they opted in for a free resource like an ebook, or they came to a webinar, or they did our summit or did our quiz, etc. So they're free. And there's lots of them. Then we have our Her Business Network members. Now, this is a low dollar, high volume product at under $20 a week. So low entry. I'm still very present in that membership. We do a lot to over-deliver and make amazing experiences and create incredible outcomes for our members. And in that membership, we do a lot of one-to-many things, like we do weekly Facebook Lives into the group. We do monthly networking events where members are supporting each other with business questions and challenges. We do one-to-many masterclasses that all members can attend live, or they can watch on demand later in the library, which literally has hundreds of amazing trainings available to them at any time. Now, those members, once they've had that wonderful experience, one-to-many, they want to do more with us. And that's when we find that people want to try our higher dollar one-to-many products. Now, as I said, our one-to-many are sometimes one-to-few. So we do get people buying our mastermind program or the Reach Retreat, which is not one-to-one, but it's also not one-to-many, many, many. Now, do we get people who are not inside of our world join the Reach Retreat and the mastermind? Yes, we do. Like you're listening right now. You might want to join the mastermind and perhaps you're not part of Her Business yet. But we find that once someone becomes a member of the Her Business Network, that is a really strong lead in to doing other things with us. They love the community, they get results, and they trust us and like us and feel more confident investing further. So our job is to focus on getting and keeping our members, and that gives us a greater audience for our higher dollar one-to-many products like the mastermind and the Reach Retreat. If we ever did offer one-to-one with me, it's very unlikely, then that would be the highest price thing we could offer because it has the most scarcity, because I only have so many hours and I have a number of commitments. And so I do not do one-to-one. So you want to consider your one-to-one time being your greatest resource as well. You want to put that at the top of your pricing tree, which means you want to develop some other things that are one-to-many that you can charge less for to get more people into your world. So one-to-many is important for me for the reasons that we mentioned earlier. I want to impact and reach as many women as possible and help them to grow more sustainable businesses. So you might decide you're going to try to offer a low dollar one-to-many product or service like a membership or a challenge or a short course or an entry-level offer to attract a lot of the people of your ideal clients into your world because of that low dollar threshold. Then your one-to-one, that time with you that is so precious, that becomes what they do next.
Yeah. And, thinking all of this through, there isn't actually one way we would say, do it like this. If you are in a one-to-one business right now, you might say, yeah, I'm going to go and just do go straight into a $10,000 small group coaching program because I know I can just go to all these 4 or 5 clients that I'm working with right now one-to-one and make this offer and pretty easily turn it into a group coaching program. That might be some really good low-hanging fruit for you. Or you might say, look, I'm just going to keep this one-to-one happening on the side here, and then I'm going to go and build this low dollar, high volume. I'm expecting to get a lot of people into it, product over here on the side and hopefully attract a lot of people and then have some of those people move into some of my other higher price products down the line. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's about what you want to achieve, what you're set up for. Obviously, going and making a few phone calls and getting 10 people into your small group coaching program is a very different proposition to building an automated marketing sequence that you want thousands of people to come through. And just to give you some idea of just the different ways people are thinking about it, I have a client who sells a low dollar course. So it's a one-to-many product. They offer this course. And then when people buy that course, they offer their coaching program to help implement the course. So it's a low dollar course. They get lots and lots of people into it. And then a certain percentage of those people say, yeah, I want to buy that higher dollar coaching program, which is still one-to-many. It's a group coaching program to help me implement the course. So they really are like a pigeon pair. They work really well together, those two products. They're both one-to-many, but the sequence and the order in which those customers see those offers makes a lot of sense. It's really important and strategic the way they have structured that. Now, this client, in addition to those one-to-many, the low dollar course and the higher dollar group coaching program, also does one-to-one, but they only offer a handful of those a year. And they've got to the point now where they charge $25,000 a day for those one-to-ones because they're so rare and so hard to get. And they've got so many people in their one-to-many world that a few of them will pay that higher amount. So thinking this part through is important. And sometimes you can only guess at how you want it to eventually look. And we're here today to say that's totally fine. Don't try and get it perfect. Just do a rough outline of what you think might be possible. What might it look like? The big warning here is just to avoid too much complexity and putting too much pressure on yourself that you have to have it all figured out right out of the gate. It is highly possible to grow a multi-million-dollar business with one product. I was just recently at a retreat with someone who has one product. It's a one-to-many online course. Everything about it is pre-recorded. She sells it all year round. She doesn't open and close it. It's just available all year round. But she has this laser focus on it, and it makes her millions of dollars. And in fact, she has resisted selling higher dollar one-to-many or even one-to-one offers off the back of it because her strategy is I'm just going to focus on this one-to-many online course.
Love
so
it.
It doesn't have to be complex. Yeah. And the other important thing is that you only focus on one product at a time. And I think, Susie, we'd both kind of like put a definite stamp of approval on this idea. Even if you have a vision for something like what Susie just explained, she has, you can't start that way. You want to, like, Susie's just explained, she's got this incredible product suite. She's got the membership, and then she's got Reach Retreat and the mastermind and mentoring. That's a mature business model. So our recommendation is to start small and to build. Add one low-hanging fruit, easy one-to-many option if that's what really works for you right now, and build from there. If you're doing one-to-one now, that's awesome because you've likely got some important things figured out: who your ideal client is, what their pain points are, what they want, what they're motivated by. Perhaps you've already explaining in these one-to-one sessions some content that could easily become models and frameworks. This is an awesome foundation for one-to-many. So just if you're wanting to dip your toe into one-to-many from one-to-one, a suggestion is to think about your next step like an MVP, a minimum viable product. That is like, what's the least I can do to just test this idea of a one-to-many offer? So where is the low-hanging fruit? Where's the easy button that you can press just as a test, as an experiment, just to see what this might be like? So, for example, what's something right before or right after the one-to-ones thing that you do that people need? The big thing that if you could help them with that, they'd have a ready market, or that they'd be able to get that outcome that you help them with. So what's something you can provide to people who don't have the budget for one-to-one but could use your services? All of these are starting points for what that one-to-many might look like.
I love it because sometimes we hear many and we think and we see what other people are doing out there, the big marketers, and we think, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. But, just say you have something you know, which obviously you have something you know, and you usually give that information and that training one-on-one. Maybe it's how to, recover after a divorce, or maybe it's how to lose 10 pounds, and you usually do that one-on-one. But what if you got 5 people together in your lounge room, on the couch, teaching them on a Saturday afternoon, but suddenly now you're talking to 5 people. You just multiplied your income for that hour 5 times. So you want to use what Michelle's saying, minimal viable product. You'll hear us say MVP, minimal viable product. It can look however you want it to look. It's just about expanding your thinking to say, well, if I was going to do one-to-many, what might it look like? Prue Saxby is our grant writing specialist. She's inside of our mastermind, and she works with a lot of not-for-profits and smaller businesses who want to get access to grant money, whether it's government grants or corporate grants. And they want to DIY it. They don't want to pay someone to do it. So she has a membership, one-to-many, which is fantastic. They can dip in any time. She tells them what grants are available, how to fill out their grant application, what to include, what not to include, one-to-many. She recently, however, introduced a course, a one-to-many small group course, which was more hands-on, less automated, more Prue time, but still a better exchange on her time and energy than her one-to-one consulting. So this is a perfect middle tier for her that gives her a great exchange. And she just tested it out. Again, with coaching inside the mastermind, she put it out there. She got a handful of people. They paid, thousands of dollars. And now she knows she has something that's viable. Now she can do that again and again. And she can still offer her one-on-one consulting, but maybe now her one-on-one consulting is less available, higher priced, and she can pick and choose. She doesn't feel like she has to do it because that's how she's earning an income.
Yeah, and I love what you said there, more Prue time. I think that's what you should call it. Okay, Prue time has just increased in price. So yeah, you don't need all the bells and whistles when you start. Just dip your toe in. Do you like it? Some people just don't like it. They just like, no, I just want to stick with one-to-one. Is there demand? Are people saying yes to it? Is this easy to sell? Is this hard to sell? Do I like doing it? Do I have to have, different facilities or different tech, or, is this worth pursuing? So just starting it off in this MVP approach, the minimum viable product, it saves you having to, create complex technology and automation. And like Susie said, you can do it at home if you want, or you don't have to have everything completely glossy and figured out. And it's also a great opportunity to test your pricing, because you can very easily earn a lot more in a 1-hour program or a 1 hour spent with many people than 1 hour spent with one person. Even if individually all those many people are paying less, the cumulative effect can be a whole lot more.
Mm-hmm. And so you might be thinking, okay, Susie, Michelle, I hear you. I want to try this thing. There's one more thing we want you to consider, and that is the timing. We mentioned Tasha earlier. She helps women proactively prepare their bodies to conceive, and she does this traditionally through her one-on-one sessions. Now, she has 2 young children. She was working late into the night. She'd raised her prices. She raised her prices again, and that calendar was still full. So in the back of her mind, when she joined the mastermind, one of the things she wanted to do was create a one-to-many experience, a program that she had already named and thought about called My Fertile Pantry. Now, she knew she wanted to create this, but she was so busy working one-on-one that she just couldn't find the space to record the modules, to think about the marketing, to write the emails, to do the landing page, to create the automation. But when she finally carved out that time, which she did with our encouragement, she was able to, with the very first time she did the program, help one-to-many women see the transformation, see the power of working with a group of women. And now she runs this program many times a year. Now, she had to take time away from her one-on-one, say no for a short period of time so that she could gear up and she could do this. And this can be a sticking point, and we see this happen, but you do have to let go. It's like when you're on a trapeze, you have to let go of one to go to the next one. Otherwise, you're left sort of hanging in the middle or dropping to the ground. And so you need to create that space. Now, it can be hard to do because it feels like you're turning down money while you're doing that. but raise your prices, bundle your offers in a different way, like the examples we gave you, but create that space. To transition from working with individuals to working with groups, you really have to create that space. Many of you need to do this. Many of you know, because we've just had 2 years of pandemic as we're recording this, that you need to do this. You need to go online, and that's how your one-to-many is going to work, because you can't rely on people coming to your clinic or coming to your law firm or coming to a styling workshop that you're running down the road. Or a consultation rather. You want to be able to do this online. And this is something we help with women with every single day. So take time, but not so much time that you're deliberating and a year from now you still haven't done anything. Do that MVP, that minimal viable product, that small group thing that you just put out there, maybe for a minimal viable price, just to test it out, to see how it goes. And you don't have to have it all built out. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have written the 10 modules and have all the bells and whistles, as Michelle mentioned. It's really just to get you started, to give you the confidence, to give you some feedback, to give you some testimonials, to get the taste of what it's like to start to work one-to-many.
Yeah, there's that expression, building the plane as you fly it. And it's actually quite a good idea when you're heading over to one-to-many. I think a big, huge mistake that people make is they think, okay, one-to-many, I'm going to do this online course. I'm going to have 10,000 people in my very first version. And it's going to look like, all these superstar marketers out there or people in my field that I know. I want it to look just like that. But what we're not realizing is those people probably took years to get to that point. And it hurts my soul because I see people investing way too much and spending a fortune on film crews and sets and makeup and, writing scripts and editing and graphics and you know what? They realize they're not doing it quite on the right topic, or they can't get the volume of people to make it viable right out of the gate, or whatever it is. So building the plane as you fly it is a good idea. It's an easier way to bring some one-to-many opportunities into your world, and you can tweak it as you go. So for example, the first course that I made, the first one-to-many situation where I was just taking the information that I used to share with people one-on-one in consulting and thought, I might try and package this into some sort of course. I had week 1 done when people bought the course, but there was 4 weeks to this course, and I did not have weeks 2, 3, and 4 built. I was literally building the plane as I flew it. And so I did week 1, and I actually learned a lot about what worked, what didn't work in week 1. And I took that knowledge and I really did transform how I was approaching week 2. So I sort of had it all roughed out in my mind. To do the marketing, I had to sort of think about what I'd cover on each of those 4 weeks, but the detail of delivering it. And this was simple. I did it with a Keynote slide or a PowerPoint slide and just used, an easy recording tool like a Zoom or a screen capture recorder. It was super, super simple. So you don't need to be perfect to start. You don't need to overinvest. It might not be right out of the gate, and that is okay. So take the easy approach first, then tweak and gradually improve the production value and the level of automation and the number of people you might want there, or how much money you're going to spend on marketing it and all those things, because then it's a much better bet because you know what you're dealing with and you can gradually increase that flywheel, if you like. It gets wider and wider and wider. The more times you run it, the more you learn, the more, word of mouth, the more experience you get with your ads. All of those things become this virtuous cycle for you.
One of the one-to-many models that we're talking a lot about inside of the Her Business Network and helping more and more women establish is this idea of a subscription-based or membership-based business model. And in fact, all through April, and this episode is airing in April, because it's April as you're listening to this, we are spending a lot of time talking about memberships. And Stu McLaren is the go-to person when it comes to creating memberships and recurring revenue models. And he has a program called the Membership Experience that we endorse every year. And one of the things that he recommends in going from one-to-one to one-to-many is to create what he calls a founding members launch. Now, this is very much an MVP, a minimal viable product. It's not perfect. maybe you don't have the right platform, you don't have a membership subscription system, etc. But here's how it works. You launch your membership. You offer it for a discounted rate. You get a few people on board. They serve as your founding members. You might have 10 people when you launch your membership, but they are paying you every single month. You are working no longer one-to-one, but one-to-many. And so say you got 10 people in, and maybe it was a founding members online course, the first time you did a course rather than a membership. That's $5,000 in your pocket. That might represent 10 or 20 or 30 one-on-one consults. Or if you are launching a membership and suddenly you have 10 people paying you X a month, that money is going to come in month after month after month. Are you going to have to sell every month? Are you going to have to sit across the table from someone? No. It's a different model, and it just frees you up. And once you start to think like this, you'll see so many opportunities to leverage your time and energy and to help more people.
I'm so glad you're covering that, because it is a different way of thinking. I think one-to-one, it's like it makes sense, right? Somebody comes into my practice, I give them 1 hour of my time or a half day, consulting with them on their marketing, or, I help them with their digestion for a half an hour. There's an exchange. You give me X dollars for that. But when you get into the mindset of leverage, the tricky thing with one-to-many is that it often doesn't feel very leveraged to start with, because it could take you weeks to put that founding members online course launch together, or to come up with that small group coaching program, or to think about how you might launch your membership to, hopefully get 20 people in it, or whatever it might be. But you want to have this mindset or this awareness that these small hinges swing big doors. It's like a little snowball that you just maybe can hold in the palm of your hand. But if you start rolling that down the hill, it'll gather more and more mass and more momentum. So, it might be 10 people today, but then the next time it might be 20 people, 50 people, 1,000 people. And I don't know if any of you have been on programs where you look around in the Facebook group or on the Zoom call or in the live room where the training is happening, and you see hundreds of people there and you think, holy cow, how did they get here? Well, this is how they got here. And I've seen it happen so many times with my own clients, with my colleagues. Every person you see out there now making millions of dollars and having those hundreds or thousands of people in their one-to-many programs, I guarantee you they started with a course with 5 people in it, or with a,
They did.
It's true, right? Like, you've seen it too,
Yeah.
Susie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You got to start there, and with basic production value. And they didn't get it right the first time. And maybe they made a bunch of mistakes, and maybe they did have 3 of their friends in there for free just to boost up the numbers. I'm telling you, that is how all of them start. So we share this with you because we know what an impact one-to-many can make. We know it's that straddle between one-to-one and one-to-many that's not always easy. And one-to-many is a new thing you got to learn. And at first it doesn't feel leveraged, but it is, and it can be awesome for your business. So if this is calling to you, you want to take the risk, be brave, be bold. You just might be so pleasantly surprised with what happens next.
I agree. And the key is there. You want to get advice. You want to get support. You want to get some people around you who know what they're doing, because, this has already been invented. There are people doing this successfully inside the Her Business Network, inside of the mastermind. You don't want to have to make mistakes unnecessarily, especially when there's a better path for you. There's a track that you can follow. So you might want to join the Her Business Network for that support. And if you're already in the network and you're looking to really ramp up your one-to-many and your marketing, this could be a perfect opportunity for you to join the Marketing Success Mastermind. And so you can get on the wait list to join us the next time places open up, which only happens a couple of times a year. But if you head on over to herbusinessmastermind.com, that's herbusinessmastermind.com, you can put your name on the wait list. And then as soon as applications are open, we can invite you to apply. Now, it can be life-changing to free yourself up from the treadmill of working one-on-one, to give you more opportunities, more clients, more income, more flexibility, more impact, all those wonderful things we said. So if you've been thinking about making the leap, this is a great time to do it. And we would love to help you. We definitely want to hear if you try this and how you go. Now, we love to share these tips, these words of wisdom with as many business owners as possible. So we would love it if you enjoyed this episode or any episode of the show, if you would head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave the show a rating or review. We have over 95-star reviews. Not just ratings, but people actually writing nice things. So if you enjoyed today's episode, if you would head on over there and do that for us, here's why it's important for us as show creators. One, it gives us the confidence that we are on the right track, that we are giving you the information that's really going to allow you to be more sustainable, to create a more viable business, to really improve your marketing. But also, you know, when people go looking for a podcast to listen to and they see those wonderful reviews, and of course, we're only asking for honest reviews, how it's really helped you, then it really helps us get the show into as many hands as possible. And as you heard, one of our goals is to reach and support as many women as possible. So one of our listeners, who's been a listener for a while now, is the wonderful Belinda Weaver of Copyright Matters. She's a longtime member of the Her Business Network. She is based in California, but she's an Aussie, and she moved to the US probably 7 years ago now. So she recently, in her For the Love of Copy newsletter, she named the podcast that she's really been enjoying. And she said Content Sells with Susie and Michelle, and specifically episode 173 called The Cost of New versus Rinse and Repeat was one of the episodes that she really enjoyed. So thank you so much, Belinda Weaver. You'll find her over at copyrightmatters.com.au. And that episode is actually one that we are going to put in the show notes because it is really well aligned to the conversation we've been having today. That episode is why you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel with your marketing, but you can actually rinse and repeat a lot of what you do, getting better and better results every time. Now, we've mentioned a number of episodes, a number of resources here on the show today, and we've made it really easy for you to get access to those goodies. So anything that we've mentioned here today, we're going to put over on our show notes page, which you will find at herbusiness.com/one too many. And I'll spell that out because there's tricky things in there. So it's the number one, the word two, T-O, many. So herbusiness.com/1, the word two, spelled T-O, and the word many, all as one word. All righty. Michelle, what have we got coming up in the next episode of Content Sells?
Well, it's interesting hearing that great recommendation from Belinda Weaver about episode 173, the cost of new versus rinse and repeat, because we are actually building on that episode, which we did last year, because it got such a great response. And we also know this is a message you just cannot hear enough times. And we're coming at it from a slightly different angle with the next episode. So in this show today, we've been talking about perhaps a new thing you might want to try in your business, going from one to one to one to many. In the next show, we're going to talk about why you don't need to change your marketing. And yes, both of those things can be true at the same time. It might be time for you to shift to one to many. But for others, if you've got an established product and something you've been marketing for a while, the tendency can be that we get bored of our marketing before our market does. And we feel like we've just got to start making random changes. And you get a lot more traction when you can offer your products and your campaigns over and over to your market, getting better cut through, better awareness, better attraction, better insights every time you do it. And that means you improve your conversions. You've got less costs because you're not reinventing the wheel every time, less stress, less roller coaster of emotions, and less roller coaster of revenue. So we're going to touch on this record and actually share with you the person who coined this phrase, mastermind, and it has become legendary. And we'll tell you a little bit of the backstory to that too.
That is coming up 2 weeks from now. So if you haven't already subscribed to the show, then click that subscribe button, whether you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher, on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, or wherever you are listening. We release a brand new juicy episode every 2 weeks. This was episode 182. Michelle, anything you want to say before we go today?
Just to our listener right now, you have something incredible to share with the world. An expertise, an insight, a product, a service, and making that shift from one to one to many can be a game changer for your business. And you can share that message, that insight, that solution with more people and be rewarded for it. So I encourage you, if you're just thinking about it, just take the time now to just think, what might this look like?
Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time right here on the Content Sells podcast. Bye for now.